Are live. Hello, my name is Ben Campbell. This is a show called Off the Cuff. The format of this show is that I take questions from my Discord community coaching server, which is discord.gg/self-improvement, or there's a link down in the description if that vanity link ever dies. And I take questions and answer them in a live sort of off the cuff format. I'm a men's coach. I specialize in dating and self-improvement style stuff, mostly dating and social things. I can help a little bit with productivity and things like that, some emotional stuff. If you have any questions, you can go to that link down below and submit them. I am joined by my friend and former client, Mr. Anton Toya. Anton, say hello.
Hello, guys. Nice to be here in the physical form.
Yeah, and we're actually live this time. Anton's normally tuned in from Belgium, but he's here with me in Sofia for the week. And we will start with a question from the server. And we are asked, how can I improve my confidence when I don't believe I have anything to offer? So this is a dating related question, I think. So if you, I'm going to take this from a dating perspective because I assume that's the tone of the question. How do I improve my confidence when I don't believe I have anything to offer, like to women or whatever? And we have to start by, I suppose, I'll break the question down into two parts. I'll start by explaining what confidence is, especially in like a social setting and where that comes from and how it can be developed. And then I'll address the thing about not having anything to offer. So confidence is, if you break it down, it's essentially the degree to which you have faith in a positive outcome. So if you're entering a situation, whether it's something that's within your control or not, the confidence that you have is the degree to which you believe something positive is going to come of that outcome. So if you can be confident. Say you're like a good public speaker. You're confident because you believe in your own ability to public speak well. If you're going somewhere where you know people like you, you're confident that things are going to go well because you trust that the situation is going to work out well for you. So in social situations, confidence, or in any situation, confidence is developed through one of two means, and it's either faith or competence. And faith-based confidence, it's often where people start. It's like so you can go from worrying that things might not go well for you to believing it's going to be fine, essentially. You have some degree of faith. And often in coaching, I'll tell people, even if you don't believe yet that you necessarily have the ability to get the things that you want, have faith that I know what I'm talking about, and that if I tell you to do certain things, it's going to end up in certain results. You can have faith in other people, which can give you confidence in certain situations. But over time, as you experience certain things, and as you develop a degree of competence in situations, that gives you confidence because you start to trust that your own ability will carry you through things. So you can either believe that the situation will just work out fine regardless, or you can have faith in what other people are telling you about how it's going to work out, and or in your own, what you're telling yourself about it. But the best form of confidence comes from competence, and that comes from direct ability in the area, which comes from experience, right? So when you're saying, how can I improve my confidence when I don't believe I have anything to offer, removing anything to offer from it, to develop confidence in social situations, you want to put yourself in as many of those situations as possible until over time you start to develop confidence in your own ability and believe that you can navigate things. And even when things go wrong, you believe that you're going to be fine. An example of this is like quite often clients come and because I'm a social coach, one of the main problems that people have is what they call like approach anxiety or social anxiety. They're scared to talk to people. And where this comes from is the ego, essentially. The ego, that little voice in your head that you think of as you. We're going to call it that for the purpose of this argument. The ego doesn't want you to do anything out of the ordinary. So, and especially not in social situations, because we're deeply and inexorably social creatures. And the ego is very scared that if you do something that other people don't like, you're going to be kicked out of society, is essentially the fear. If the people around you don't like you, because we need other people for survival, at least we did in a historical context, you become scared that if you do anything wrong or you upset people and people don't like you, you're going to be ostracized from society and you're not going to be able to survive. So really that fear comes down to like anytime you're thinking like, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I do the wrong thing? Or, you know, what if this person doesn't like me for XYZ reason, for the example given here? Or what if I don't have anything good enough to offer to this person? They don't like me for that reason. You'll then start to come up with all sorts of reasons and excuses as to why you shouldn't do that thing. And a lot of these revolve around, oh, if you say this, it'll end badly. Or if you do that, they're going to hate you or whatever. And most of the time, this is complete bullshit. It's not true, but it's a story that your ego is spinning in order to stop you from taking any action that it deems as dangerous. And usually these things are just things that you have no exposure to. So if you're the kind of person that's used to going out and talking to lots of people and you develop competence in that area, that voice is no longer there because you have experience to back that up. Whereas if you have no experience in that area, that voice will be a lot stronger and it'll tell you things that are completely not true, but you believe are true because of the fear, essentially. And we combat that through exposure therapy and through just exposure to an extent. But when it comes to not believing you have anything to offer, and not feeling you have confidence because of that. And going back to confidence as well, I'm a bit rambly today, but it's fine. Going back to the subject of confidence can be completely contextual as well. Like you don't necessarily have confidence in every area of your life all at once just because you have confidence. Like you might be very confident in social situations, but not at all at work. You might be very confident at public speaking, but not at talking to women, etc. Just talking in social terms. And so confidence can be sort of general, and the more areas you have confidence in due to competence, and is this getting confusing or am I explaining this well? If you have competence in a lot of different areas and you develop sort of faith in your own ability to do things well, you'll then start to trust yourself more in areas that are uncertain to you. So confidence, even though it's contextual, can start to carry over to other areas of your life. So if you're very confident in like public speaking or certain social situations, you might then start to trust in your own ability to navigate other things when they come along, even if you're not used to them. So confidence is a valuable skill to have, and it's best developed through competence. And if you're interested in coaching, we can sort that out for you. But coming to the I don't believe I have anything to offer thing, this sounds like a self-worth issue. So now we'll talk about self-worth. Self-worth is an arbitrary thing. It's the degree to which you believe either that other people value you, or that you value yourself, or that you are just like a valued member of society. It's your own self-determined sense of value. And so if you don't feel you have anything to offer, you need to examine your life and ask yourself, why? Like first of all, what do you think is something to offer? Because especially in dating, a lot of people can get into the realm where they start to think like, the only things that are important to I'm assuming you're a man, the only things that are important to women are money and good looks and things like that. And we've gone over on the stream plenty of times before, and I have posts on this subject that's bullshit. Essentially, it's the things that men think are important in dating are often the things that they look for, and it's status and looks and things like that. And those are not necessarily the things that are important to women. A lot of women, the main thing of importance is your degree of competence and ability to carry yourself, and your level of confidence in yourself. And also how you make people feel, because that's where the real connection is created there. And so if you don't feel you have anything to offer, first examine what are the things that you think you should be offering, and are those actually accurate to what people actually want? And second, what can you do in your life to make yourself feel valuable? And there's a post on this that I released a couple of weeks ago. It's if you go to discord.gg/self-improvement, it's in the emotional forum. It's called How to Create Unshakable Self-Worth, and it'll go over better than I'm about to. I'll try and summarize. Essentially, your sense of self-worth and your degree of confidence in your own sense of value, the degree to which you hold yourself, is a completely arbitrary thing. And if you think very highly of yourself, you'll tend to act in a way that makes other people think highly of you as well. But realizing that this is not something that you need to derive from other people, but it's something that's internally derived is the first step. And then from there, you should figure out, what are the things that would make me feel valuable, and then start doing those things. And one of the earliest things that I discovered when I was younger, and I first got into self-improvement, I was asking myself, like, what do I want to be? Like, what's the goal of self-improvement for me? And the answer I came up with is I want to be a good man. And so then I had to ask myself, well, what does a good man do? What makes a good man? And I came up with three behaviors, three principles that I could live by, that as long as I live by those principles, my sense of value in myself stays the same, because I know that I'm a good man by adhering to these. So in my mind, a good man is always honest and direct. You don't beat around the bush with things. You speak to people in an authentic, upfront, direct way. You're not an asshole about it, at least not deliberately, although sometimes it can come across that way. But you don't beat around the bush or hide from things. You always tell the truth, and you tell it in a very straightforward manner. The second is to always take care of your mind and your body, or to at least do your best to. So things like meditating, things like eating well, working out, stuff like that. Your headspace and the body that you inhabit is the thing that you spend most of your life experiencing, right? If not all of your life experiencing. And so it stands to reason that if you want to live a good life and be a good person, then you should take care of your mind and your body. And especially if, as a man, you want some responsibility over other people and you want to take care of other people, you should first take care of yourself. So in my mind, a good man takes care of his mind and his body. And then the third thing is to always do it, when possible, do the morally correct thing. So if you have the opportunity to do a good thing, do it. And if you don't do a good thing, you have to correct that in the future. If you do something bad, you got to correct it. So these are the three principles that I came up with. And from that point forward, like I've been through experiences where I've been homeless, and I've lived in a tent, and I've been traveling, and I've had people like me and not like me, and ups and downs and financial swings and all of this stuff. But my sense of value in who I am as a person has remained completely rock solid throughout that, for the most part. I mean, there is obviously swings. things, but it's never dipped below a certain threshold because I know that as long as I adhere to these principles, I am a good person by my own definition, right? So that's the first step to defining a high sense of self-worth for yourself. And then from there, you can start to think about like what other areas of your life can you pull from in order to feed back into your own sense of value. And if it's coming back to your question, if it's based in social things, a lot of this is like, well, how do I act around other people? How do I treat other people? How do I make other people feel? How much attention do I give other people, etc.? He says as he rambles and ignores his co-host for a while. But like, how do you make other people feel that are in your presence? Are you giving them enough attention? Or are you just talking over them? Or you know all of this stuff? How do you make other people feel? Are you doing anything that gives to your community? Like maybe you could volunteer at a soup kitchen or something like that, and do something that is not just for yourself, but is in service of other people. And then do things like set rules for yourself and create a sense of discipline and take care, again, coming back to the principles, taking care of your mind and your body also goes into a sense of discipline. You are demonstrating to yourself that you are worth taking care of and therefore you are worth something. And over time, as you start to do things, you're essentially you're defining by your own metric what a good person does and what a valuable person does. And in doing those things, and then that'll feed back into your sense of self-worth. And then there's also the social aspect. So you can get better at your social skills and go and meet compatible people and make friends and get relationships and stuff like that. And then you will have people in your life that feed back into your sense of value, because we are social creatures. And if you don't have that part of your life down, even if the rest of it's together, it's very difficult for you to feel a sense of value if other people don't value you. So going back to your original question, how can I improve my confidence when I don't believe I have anything to offer? Work on all of the internal stuff first and understand where confidence comes from, as I've just explained. But also understanding the actual aspects of what makes a good relationship. And so a good relationship, whether it's a friendship or romantic relationship or whatever, is made of three sort of components: chemistry, compatibility, and connection. And people get this very confused, and they think they need to have certain like societal metrics, or they need to be have a certain amount of money, or a certain amount of status, or a certain amount of good looks, and all of that is kind of bullshit. There are people that care about those things, and if that's the kind of life you live, you're going to meet those kinds of people. It's like if you're the kind of person that plays the looks and money game, you're going to meet plenty of women that are only interested in looks and money, and then you become one of these red pill guys that's like, why is every girl cheating on me? Because that's the level that you're playing at. But if you understand that real human connection or real good human relationships are chemistry, compatibility, and connection, you can start to understand that what you think you have to offer might not necessarily be what other people are looking for. And really it comes down to who you are as a person more than anything else. So chemistry, the first part, is an ineffable thing. It's sort of effable, I guess. It's often literally chemistry. It's the pheromones that you put off to people. It's the physical attraction. It's the magnetism that you feel when you're around other people. And this is not something that you can really create, or like, you know, people will try and sell you like pheromone sprays and stuff. It's all bullshit, right? It's a biological thing, is the chemistry. It's not something you can control. It's either there or it isn't. So that's the first thing, is noticing whether you have chemistry and attraction. Compatibility is arguably the most important. And compatibility essentially means the degree to which two things can work together without causing problems. So you need to have similar personality. Like, no, you don't need to have similar personalities, but you need to have compatible personalities to the point that the things that you want from your life, from your future, etc., are the same things that they do, or at least align to a degree that makes the relationship work. And this can vary depending on what you're looking for. Like the degree of compatibility necessary to have a working relationship is very different from a casual relationship, from a friendship, from a marriage, etc. And the degree to compatibility you might require to hold this relationship together changes over time. And people's levels of compatibility change over time as well, as their personalities change and etc. But essentially, compatibility is the degree to which your personalities and your lifestyles and your goals fit. And then the final thing, which is the thing that you build after you find someone with chemistry and compatibility with you, is connection. And connection is formed over time by having shared emotional experiences with people. So if I understand how you think and feel about things, and you understand how I think and feel about things, and we can relate to each other, even if we don't have the same experience, if we just understand each other's experiences, we're going to start to feel bonded to each other, and that's what creates human connection. And understanding that these are the three things that create a good human relationship, you can start to remove it from like, oh, am I valuable enough, and am I this and that, and removing it from the standard sort of dating advice, which is you need to make people like you, which is bullshit, and coming back to the reality of the situation, which is you need to first love yourself and figure out ways to raise your own sense of value and believe that you are worth something, and that as a human being you are inherently deserving of love and love and connection and respect and attention. And then rather than going out and trying to make people like you and trying to fit into other people's expectations and their reality, you instead go out and you look for people that are already compatible with you, because it doesn't matter who you are. There are already people that are compatible with you. There are already people that have chemistry with you. And from that point, your job is just to find those people and create connections with them. And that's what I teach as a coach. If you're interested in coaching, after this call, it's about 5:15 right now. It's 6 p.m. local to Sofia. There's a community coaching call. There's 3 or 4 people on there at the moment where it's like it's a private call where we go through stuff like that. If you're interested in signing up, it's discord.gg/self-improvement. Or there's a link in the description if that ever changes. And I hope that answers your question. Do you think there's anything I missed?
No. And
do you have anything to add to that?
For me, it's relatable. Like, if I hear you talking about the confidence, at first, when I started coaching with Ben, like the voices in my head were so big.
For context, sorry to interrupt you. For context, Anton was my client for 4 or 5 years before this.
Exactly. And like the voices in my head were so big. And Ben basically challenged me to like always challenge the voices. And it turns out never to be the actual truth. Whatever I was thinking, it didn't happen at all. Like,
the ego's very good at coming up with lots of esoteric and very convincing excuses as to why you shouldn't take action on certain things. And it'll tell you you're not good enough, and it'll tell you that, if you say this, it'll go wrong, and it'll be awkward, and it'll this and that. And 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, it's literally just your voice in your head coming up with whatever excuses you will believe to convince you not to take actions that are outside of your status quo. So anything that you are not used to doing is considered dangerous by your ego, and it'll try to tell you not to do those things in case you slip up and do something wrong and threaten your own survival, because it doesn't care if you're happy, it just cares that you're alive.
Exactly. And it's so smart, and it knows you. You're
very
always
good.
telling me.
It's your head. Like, it'll come up with the excuses that you're gonna believe.
Yeah, and then like the moment you keep on following this like 1 time and then 2 times, and all of a sudden it's total normality that you follow your voice in your head, but it's actually like so wrong in almost any way.
But the positive thing, and the thing that we teach through coaching, is that over time, if you challenge that voice in your head and it's telling you not to do things, and you go, fuck you, I'm in charge, and you take the action anyway, especially in social situations, because the majority of people's social fears are that if they do something stupid, they say the wrong thing, or they go and talk to some pretty girl in the street, that something's going to go terribly wrong. And it's nonsense. And they realize it's nonsense as soon as they actually take the action. Because all of the people, you'll notice, like, I give a lot of dating advice that's like, just, go out and talk to people and do social freedom exercises and all of this stuff. And the most common thing that you hear back from people is, oh, you can't do that, it's rude, it's this, people will respond badly. But all of the people that say those things have no experience actually doing it. They're just listening to the voice in their head, and they believe it to such a high degree that they tell you that that's the case. But then if you actually have the experience, like myself, like Anton, like any of the clients, that you actually go out and do these things, you realize that people are friendly, people are polite. Even if you fuck up, most people are perfectly reasonable people that'll be more than happy to go, oh, it's okay, you fucked up, that's fine. Like, even if you walk up to somebody in the street and you go, hey, I shit my pants, right? The vast majority of people are either going to go, oh, right, which is normal, or they're going to go, are you okay? Right? They're going to be concerned for you. They're going to, are you okay? Can I help you? And we've evidence that, like, there was a client that we had in New York, and this was with the previous company that I worked for. And he went up to a pretty girl in the street, like a girl that he found attractive. And he said to her, I was with this girl last night. I didn't use protection. Now it burns when I pee, right? Do you know where I can find an STD clinic? And this is a girl that he's hitting on. He's trying, like, he doesn't have an STD. This is an exercise. You do embarrassing things so that you see that the consequences of those things aren't nearly as extreme as you think they are. This girl took him by the hand, led him to an STD clinic, wished that he was okay, went, I hope you're okay after this. By the way, you want to get coffee later? And took his number. Right? He just told her that he has an STD. And in her mind, it's like, oh, attractive guy, clearly sleeps around a lot. Hell yeah, let me get his number. Like, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be people in the world that like you and people that don't. What were we talking about before that, to circle back?
We were talking about like the voice in your head.
The ego. Oh yeah. So over time, as you start to do these things, and as you start to challenge that voice in your head, and you say, no, fuck you, I'm in charge. And you start to be the person that makes approaches, and you start to be the person that makes friends, and asks for a raise at work, and all of these things that you're socially afraid of doing. As you push those social boundaries, that voice in your head then starts to work for you. And it's and because your status, remember, it just wants to keep the status quo. So if your status quo changes and you start to push yourself and you become someone that's making approaches and speaking to people and being socially naturally outgoing, that voice then starts to work for you, and it starts going, yeah, you're the man. Yeah, you are in charge. Yes, go talk to that girl. It'll work great. Yes, go speak to that person. It'll be fantastic. See that man in the business suit over there? Ask him how he makes his money. Maybe you'll learn something. And you become like an open social person. The world just fucking opens up to you. And on the subject of like talking to the businessman and stuff, I'm in a very rambly mood today, but I think it's working. On the subject of the businessman with the suit and stuff, your beliefs about the world affect the way that you behave around people, which affect the results that you get. So if you're the kind of person that believes like, oh, people are nasty in social situations and I can't talk to people, or oh, money's really hard to come by and people that have it are evil and shit like that, you're less likely to be the person that goes out and makes friends and gets girlfriends or talks to people. Like everything I have in my life, or everything good that I've come across, has been because of the people that I know and the networking that I've made. It's like life is way less about who you know as it is about, way less about what you know as it is about who you know. Like I would have never got into coaching had I not met people who were coaches when I was like 14, 15. I never would have made like 90% of the money that I've made in my life if I didn't have friends that were good in business and taught me things and gave me work and things like that. And if you have the mindset of being open and socially competent and free and like talking to different people and being curious about people as well, like what do you do? How did you do this? Like what successes do you have and how did you create them? That's how you learn from people and that's how you form connections with people. And the best friendships and the best business relationships and everything come from just practicing this. And the world fucking opens up to you. Like I've traveled all over the world. I've made fucking 6 figures, even though I've lost almost all of it. But let's not talk about that. Like I've made a shitload of money. I've traveled to lots of different places. I've had wonderful relationships just from being social and talking to people and networking. I believe it is the most important skill that you can develop as a person, because everything you have is either for other people or as the result of other people. Like what do you have in life and what do you do that doesn't have some social aspect to it? If nobody else in the world existed, you'd end up depressed and just doing nothing. It's either, and we talk about like ego and shit like that, like it's either performative for other people, which is fine to a degree as long as it doesn't become too much. Like trying to impress other people can be a bit bullshit, but everything we do is for the social connections that we have or for the benefit of ourselves in relation to other people or for other people. And when you look at it that way, you realize it's like, fuck, I need to make better friends and I need to get relationships and all of these things, because that's what life is about at the end of the day. It's the experiences that you share with other people.
Yeah, like when you talk about the voice starting to work for you, like I experienced this when working with you, and it's such a cool thing. And the scary part is if I don't do it for a long time, it creeps back in again.
Yeah, like today.
Yes, exactly. And it's
Do I tell that story from today?
Oh yeah, I was like, my goal this week was to approach 3 girls. And I didn't do it all week because I was terrified. And today I was here, like, and I had to do it before the call. So we walked around with Ben. And he gave me this look, like, you should approach her. And she was pretty, and I know, but I kind of chickened out. And then, like, I had this voice in my head that was like saying, oh yeah, it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna be good. You're gonna be nervous. And I did it.
She's got resting bitch face, etc.
Yes, and then I did it after all, and it was like a super cool experience. And I got her Instagram, and
yeah, she gave you a hug and she was smiling. She's like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like you're always thinking like, oh, if I go and talk to this person, it's going to end badly or it's going to this. And then you go and talk to them and they're like, oh my God, even if it doesn't go well, even if they don't give you the number or whatever, 9 times out of 10, if you approach an attractive woman in the street and you go, hey, you're really attractive and I'd love to get your number. I want to take you out for coffee. Even if they're not single or whatever, or they're not even interested in you, they'll go, oh my God, thank you so much. That's such a lovely compliment. I don't get that. And I want to make it clear as well on the subject of like approaching and stuff. I've talked about this on other streams, and anybody that's followed me for any period of time will know this already, but I feel it's important for anybody new coming in. What I teach in terms of the dating advice has nothing to do with like pickup and seduction and like red pill shit and all of that nonsense. And I want to make that very clear, because there's very few people that are making good approaches. And most of the people that are doing like quote unquote cold approach are either crazy people that don't understand the implications of their actions and are just doing shit and making people uncomfortable, or pickup artists that don't care and they're just like using manipulation techniques and they're using game and etc. And if you want a deeper dive on my philosophy on that, on the main channel, there's a video called The Problem with Pickup. There's also a post of the same name. I basically dismantle why pickup ideology is corrosive, why it fucks with your mental health and everything if you care about that. But yeah, what I teach is very different. It's not about making people like you. It's about liking yourself and then going out and finding compatible people in a healthy, honest, direct and upfront way, which is important. Okay, second question.
Okay.
Yes.
Something else about the first one. So yeah, basically today, like this voice in my head, it was so real in my head, and then the moment I took action, it disappeared, like it vanished, and it gave me like a new ID on what was right. And then what I want to add else is like the moment you start to follow your actual heart through having confidence, you will have more things to offer because you have like you can find your purpose that way. Because if you're always scared to follow what you actually want to do, like you want to quit your job or you want to do something new, or you want to go like meet this group of friends or talk to this girl, that way you want to have like you want to develop what you actually want to do in your life instead of like just doing what you've always been told, or like just
like spending 8 months out in Thailand.
Exactly.
And
Like,
being scared that your job's going to fire you. But they're like, no, you take that time off. You're such a valuable worker. You have a job when you come back.
yeah, exactly. It's all in just like so many things change in my life like the past 3 or 4 years by actually doing what I want to do. And it feeds you, you know, like you get more energy into your life, and it's such a cool experience overall.
That is a good point. Like I call myself a social coach, and a lot of guys come because they want to fix their dating life, which is fine. That's a good problem to have. It's the first problem I had and Anton has, and it's what draws a lot of men to self-improvement is the desire to not be lonely anymore. But a lot of people conflate their sense of loneliness and their lack of attention, affection, connection in their life as the root of all of their problems, and they believe that once they fix that, everything will be fine. And it's not true. But it's okay to think that to begin with, because once you solve that problem, you then start to realize that there's other areas in your life that you can address. And one of the things I constantly tell people is I'm a dating coach, but I'm more of a social coach. And don't like the advice that I give to people, and especially in coaching, because it's a lot more in depth. It's like, don't just use this to try and get laid. That's like such a like, yes, use it to get laid, use it to get girlfriends. Like you can have fucking 4 girlfriends if you want, as long as you're honest with everybody and you find compatible people that are interested in that. It's well within the realm of possibility. But I've had a lot of clients in the past that like use this, and then they get a girlfriend or whatever, and then they just completely fall off and they stop like looking into things. And it's like, make friends as well, and not just make friends. It's like the sense of confidence that you develop once you realize that you can do anything you want socially, it carries into all other areas of your life, and you end up being the person that starts to live life the way that you want to live it, because you're not afraid of social consequences, which are pretty much every consequence. It's like, you know, what if I quit my job and then I don't find another one? And it's like, well, you're now confident in your ability to go and just speak to managers and get a job because you're a social person. It's like I was saying about Anton, he was scared that he wanted to go to Thailand to study Muay Thai and correct me if I'm wrong about any parts of this story. He wanted to go to Thailand to study Muay Thai for like 8 months. And he's like, well, if I quit my job, like, what will I do when I come back? And he had money saved up and he had a social net, and all of this stuff is like, you know, he's not going to starve even if he can't get his job back. But he ended up speaking to his work and being like, hey, I want to take this. No, it wasn't even I want to take this time off. It was, I am going to take this time off. It's like, I am leaving. I am going to Thailand. This is what's happening. When I come back, I'd like to keep working for you. And they were like, well, fuck, I guess that's what's happening then, you know? And it all worked out fine. He's working back at the same place he was working that he quit from 8 months ago. It's like once you have that ability in your own like social prowess, and you can make friends, you can make connections, you can meet valuable people and get jobs and all of this stuff, the world completely fucking opens up to you, because not only can you go anywhere and speak to anyone and do anything, it's like you can climb the ladders of the social fucking construct, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, I remember being like 21 and like having trouble with my dating, and that was the reason I signed up for coaching, you know, like dating. But it's so much more. Like when I look back at this right now, it's maybe like 5% of the puzzle. It's cool dating, like it's cool to date actual people that you're really interested to.
And it's funny because like once you fix that problem as well, you're like, oh, I'm just dating. Like it becomes part of your normal life. You're like, oh, I just get dates now.
yeah, it is. But like this trip to Thailand, like me actually fighting again, like doing things I'm super scared of, but it's actually my passion. It gives me so much joy in my life. Like I'm following my heart, and there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, and that is a good point. Like coming back to the thing about confidence, is it does carry over into every other. You become the kind of person that realizes that just because you're scared of something does not mean it's not the right thing to do. And you learn over time how to develop enough courage to overcome the fears that you have and to dismantle them completely. Because you learn how fear works, and you learn that it's just fucking voices in your head and it's nonsense. You learn how to combat those things. So it pretty much always starts with dating, but it ends in like I had a client a couple of years ago, and if you go into the server again, linked in the description, there's a reviews part there, and his review is it's one of the pictures there. It's I can't. Oh yeah, El Callahan, Kiev live training. So he came out to Kiev and he did the course with me, and this is a guy that spends like 10, 15,000 a year on personal development stuff. Like he did Tony Robbins' course and shit. Like, and just every year he invests like somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000 into self-improvement courses and seminars and things like that. And he came and did the 2-day boot camp, and he went away from that. And he said to me, like, if you're ever doing anything else, like if you're in Europe and you're doing like another like fucking seminar or anything like that, you tell me and I'm there, man. And I reached out to him about 6 months later, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing like a course in Europe. We'll spend like a week going to different countries and doing different things. And he texted me back and he goes, honestly, there is nothing in my life that I need right now. He's like, I think I'm done. Like you gave me everything that I needed. And I'm like, all right, I guess my job's done. And that's like the previous company that I worked for. We used to do seminars where it was like a 3-day event, and we'd have like a bunch of speakers and stuff. People like Josh Mason, Peter Sage, fucking. This is years ago now. I'm trying to remember these guys, but people from lots of different fields of self-improvement, essentially. And we did these seminars all over the world, and people would come to them, and they go away like getting things done and fixing their problems and stuff like that. But one of the issues that I have with seminars, and I don't want to like disparage Tony Robbins or shit, even though there are some shady stuff going on. I don't want to like, I don't want to seem like I'm just like shooting up or whatever. A lot of seminars and courses and things that people do, and especially like pickup courses and shit like that. There was a lot of people in the industry, but you know, when I got into this like 10 years ago, and I was like 14, and I started immersing myself, and I've met a lot of the sort of higher level guys, at least in like the late 2010s and early 2020s and stuff, that were in the dating sphere. And I've met a lot of their clients, and that guy that came to fucking Kiev, Levon, his friend did a course in Kiev with another company at the same time. They like compared the courses, and he decided to come on ours and they decided to go on theirs. And he was like, I am so fucking glad I did this. Because what the other company was teaching was how to act confident, right? How to act confident and pretend like you know what you're doing and get what you want. What I was teaching is how to be confident and ask for what you want, and then you will get it from that way. But a lot of like seminars and courses and things like that, you go to them, and the coach is very good at making you feel like you're learning something and making you feel like you're accomplishing something. And it's like you go to the seminar and then you come back and you're like, wow, that was a great seminar, and I'm so hyped up. And like you can see Tony Robbins has studied like NLP and hypnosis and stuff like that. And you can see, even like he does this hand movement. If you watch Tony Robbins stuff, you'll see him doing this. I spoke to a hypnotherapist a while ago that sort of dismantled that. It's like that is literally cueing your brain to raise your level of like excitement. And so they're doing all of these things to deliberately make you feel good, but they're not actually fixing your problem. And so you pay like fucking $5,000 and you go to a fucking seminar, and then you come away from it going, wow, that was an amazing seminar. And it's like, yeah, well, what did you learn? What actually changed in your life? It's like, I went to this seminar because I was scared of spiders. It's like, great. Are you still scared of spiders? Like, yeah, but the seminar was great. You know, it's like nothing actually changes in your life. And people get addicted to self-improvement, and they get addicted to going to these seminars just because they feel good, but they're not actually fixing anything. Did the course feel good?
At times it didn't, because you pushed me through some bad things.
Exactly. You're like, it's not a fun experience a lot of the time. It's scary, and it's intense, and it requires a lot of work, and it requires a lot of perseverance. At the end of it, it feels good, but it's because you've actually fixed the problem. Like you're not going through it and going, oh, I'm going to have a great time this weekend. You're going, fuck, this weekend's going to be really hard, but I'm going to learn something, and I'm going to come out of it a lot better at the end. And you do, and your life actually changes as a result. Wow. You know, maybe I'm being a bit of an asshole now, but it pisses me off to no end the amount of people like people spend tens of thousands of fucking dollars just like on mental masturbation. They're like, yeah, I went and I learned some things about productivity and habit forming. It's like, yeah, but did anything in your life actually change? No? Well, then it didn't work. You know, why did you pay $10,000? Anyway, should we go on to the next question?
Yeah.
All right, question numero dos. How do you balance authenticity with the need to fit in? Often in groups, I want to be a part of them, which leads to me doing activities that I don't really like. Christ, that's a loud noise. There's a car engine outside. I'm not sure if that can be heard on the stream.
Want me to close down the window?
No, because it's letting the smoke out. I don't think it's that audible. How do you balance authenticity with the need to fit in? Often in groups, I want to be part of them, which leads to me doing activities I don't really like. So I think essentially what this person is saying, I've talked a lot about the idea of authenticity in the past. I think what he's saying is like, how do I balance doing what I want to do with being able to fit into the groups that I want to fit into? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll remove authenticity from the question. I'll talk about what authenticity is and what that actually means, and then I'll address the being part of a groups and trying to fit in thing. So authenticity, as I would describe it, is the degree to which your internal state is in alignment with the actions that you're taking and the things that you're saying and the way that you are expressing yourself to other people. And people often think like, well, how do, just be yourself. What does that even mean? How do I be yourself? And it's literally just whatever you are feeling and thinking internally is how you are expressing yourself externally. And I've said in the past, like, you don't need to necessarily be confident, for example, to make approaches. You can be nervous, but if you're nervous and you go up to somebody and you act confident, you're going to come across as creepy. Because creepy is created by dissonance between, like, people are very good at, especially women, are very good at picking up on how you're actually feeling internally and like little micro facial expressions and stuff. Like there's a vibe that people pick up from other people. We're very social creatures and we're very good at picking up on this sort of subconscious, subtle vibe, right? And so if you're acting in a different way from how you're feeling, people are going to pick up on that. And they might not necessarily even consciously be aware of it, but their subconscious is going to pick up on it. And it's going to come across as weird or creepy or dangerous, right? Because there's something that you're hiding and they don't know what, but alarm bells are triggering. And so they just go, oh, this guy's really fucking creepy, right? And so the best way to act around people is always authentic. You don't necessarily have to be confident. It's like if you go up to, going back to the nervous example, if you're nervous and you walk up to a girl and you say, hey, I know I'm acting really strange right now and I'm talking really fast, I'm like stumbling over my words, I'm starting, etc., but you're so fucking attractive that I have to come and talk to you and it's making me very nervous. If you just talk to me for a couple of minutes, give me a second to calm down, I promise, like, it'll be more cool, right? You'd be surprised how often people go, oh, wow, okay, yeah, great, thank you for the compliment, let's talk, right? The natural assumption, again, this goes back to the ego thing, is like, no, that's fucking insecure and weird. Like, you have to be confident. What's insecure and weird is pretending that you're confident when you're not and trying to mask your feelings from people. Like, what a fucking compliment. You're so attractive that you make me visibly nervous and it's difficult for me to talk to you, and yet I still rode over on my steel pair of balls and got over that to talk to you. Like, the impression that gives is, wow, this guy has fucking balls, and also I'm so attractive I make people feel like that. It's such a compliment, right? And so you don't necessarily have to be confident or anything. So yeah, that's a side piece. Authenticity is the degree to which your internal state is aligned with what you're presenting externally, right? And so how do I balance that with the need to fit in? You don't, right? you realize that you don't need to fit in. You need to find where you fit, which is like, you don't need to fit into certain places. You need to find the places where you do fit, right? It's not about making people like you. It's not about finding a friend group and adhering to what they want, which leads to me doing activities that I don't really like. Don't fucking do that. Like, there is something to be said about pushing your comfort zone and doing things that you wouldn't necessarily do and trying stuff. But if you've tried something and you know for a fact it's not for you, and you've refined your personality and your likes and your dislikes to the point where you're confident in who you are, then start behaving authentically in that, right? And don't do the things that you don't want to do. If your friend group's doing shit that you don't like, and like, these are people that you don't really like spending time around, but you just have a need to fit in and you want people to like you, like, there's some self-worth thing there that you're trying to address by making other people give you validation. Give yourself that validation, learn to love yourself, develop inner confidence, develop self-worth, all of the things that we talked about, and then go out and find people that match you. Like, what do you want to do? Like, if all these people are going fucking go-karting and paintballing and you want to sit at home and play D&D, go find people that play D&D, or vice versa. Like, whatever it is. Like, you shouldn't be trying to fit into groups of people. You should be finding the groups that you fit into. Right? I feel like that covers it.
Yeah, and the moment you will start to act according to what you actually believe, you will attract the people that actually like being like you.
Yeah, that's another. It creates a sort of. I mention a lot the filter effect. Like, if you behave with a high level of authenticity, if your external state is very congruent with your internal, and if you've reached a point where you are the kind of person that knows who you are and what you want, because that could take some exploration as well, and it's perfectly fine. And I've had people in the past ask questions. It's like, I don't know who I am. How do I be authentic? And it's like, well, first, again, behave in alignment with whatever your internal state is at the time. But then over time, figure out who you are. Figure out what you like, what you dislike. You need to explore and try things, and like, don't shut yourself off to the world. Try as many things as possible, and then you'll start to refine your personality more. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about just before that?
That you want to gonna attract people that you.
Yes, the filter. So as you start to act in congruence with who you are, you will start to naturally repel all of the people who aren't compatible with you and attract all of the people that are. Like, I'll take myself as an example. I am a very forward, upfront person. I make a lot of dirty jokes. I make a lot of really dark jokes that some people don't like. Like, I have a really dark, sick, twisted sense of humor, and I'm very, very forward with people. I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking, exactly what I want or what I need, and etc. And some people, this is the best thing ever. That, wow, this is so fucking refreshing. I really respect the way that you talk to me. It's extremely attractive. I like that I know where I stand with you, etc. To certain other people, it's arrogant and you're a fucking asshole and I don't like you and you're very rude and you shouldn't say things like this and blah, 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 blah. What I'm doing isn't changing. I believe that I'm a good person. I try to be, like, I don't try to be an asshole. I try to be polite. But certain people think that I'm an asshole and certain people think that I'm an upfront, respectful, good person. And the difference is not who I am, it's who they are. People with strong personalities tend to really like me, and people with softer personalities that don't like confrontation tend to fucking hate me. I'm okay with that because I'm surrounded by people that I fit in with and that like me. And there is a degree to where that can go wrong. It's like I have in the past gone too far and actually been an asshole, you know? That there are times where you can overstep things and you can be a shitty person. And you will still find people that like you, right? That's kind of the problem with it. You need to find a balance between knowing what compatibility is and having a good internal sense of your own actions. Like, try to be a good person and do good things, but don't be worried about always pleasing everybody and always, like, never offending anyone and always having the right opinions. It's like, it's all bullshit. The more that you try to fit in and the more that you just try to make people like you, the more wishy-washy bullshit friends you're going to have and the less that you're actually going to fit in because you're not a refined enough person to actually be someone, you know? Like, people won't respect you. You're just a person who is there. Like, when was the last time that you met someone that was just like fucking milquetoast and was constantly just like agreeing with you and not ever like pushing boundaries that you liked and respected? Those people don't exist. You don't like those people. They're just like, who's this? You know? You want to be someone that is polarizing, at least to other people. You don't want to be polarized in general, because, I mean, that's a different esoteric argument for another time. You want to be someone who is polarizing to other people. You want people to either like you or not like you. Because anywhere in between, it's like you're not demonstrating who you are enough, you know? Yeah.
I had those people at work, like, even last week. They were friendly to somebody's face, and then, like, the moment they left, they were, like, bad-mouthing them. And I'm like, the moment they do this, like, they do this about you as well. And it's so inauthentic because they are, like, friendly to somebody's face, and then behind their back, they're like... And it pisses me off because it shows them who they are, you know?
Yeah. Like, I talk shit about people. I do. But I talk shit about people that I would say those things to their face as well. It's like, if I'm saying something about you behind your back, I'll happily say it to your face, like, because it's my honest opinion of you. Yeah. And some people don't like that, but it's honest, at least.
Yeah, and like, I don't even feel like, yeah, you're gonna repel them in a way, like when you talk to them. But also, like, the moment that I feel like, yeah, I'm not vibing with this person, like, I'm just gonna not invest time in them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and if I would, like, the old me would be like, oh, this person has to like me, I have to be friendly to them and, like, say hello to them and, like, keep them entertained and stuff. But now I'm like, nah, I just don't want to invest time in it.
And I've verbatim said to people, I'm like, look, I you know, we had a fun conversation, whatever, like, they tried to be my friend or whatever, and I'm like, I don't feel like we have that much of a vibe, I'm sorry. And that's it. It's like, and some people are like, oh my god, like, why would you ever say that? But it's like, I don't want you to be my friend. I don't want you to be my friend, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember, like, when I was dating, and, like, I asked you, hey, what should I say to the girl after a date if I don't like her? And I used to always be like, yeah, it was super nice, thank you. And then I would, like, send a message to them, like, yeah, maybe not second time. But you said to me, like, yeah, just be upfront with her.
Yeah, or even just lying and being like, oh, you know, I'm busy next week, maybe the week after, and then you just never speak to them again.
I used to do this, man, like, back in the days.
Going back to, like, even just first dates, like, a good first date for me, most of my first dates, unless I already know the person, like, if I've just approached them once and not really spoken to them, or I found them on Tinder or whatever, I will never be like, let's go get a drink or let's go for dinner, because you're then stuck at a place with I'll say, let's go for a walk, and I meet them in the city center and we do a little 15-minute circuit talking to each other, right? If it's someone I don't really know, do a little 15-minute circle talking to each other, and by the end of that 15 minutes, it's either there's a vibe here and I like this person, in which case I go, let's go get a drink or let's go get dinner, right? Or I just go, hey, this was a great conversation, but I'm just not really feeling a vibe between us, so I'm gonna go home now, but I hope you have a great night. And to some people, this is like, oh my God, you could never fucking... Like, some women get really offended by this, but it's very, very rare. And those are the people that just can't handle rejection most of the time. Most of the time when you say this, the feeling is mutual. Like 9 times out of 10 when I say this to people, they go, yeah, I feel the exact same way, right? And they're very appreciative that we're not sitting at a fucking 3-course dinner, like stuck with each other for the next 2 hours. It's 15 minutes. Like, no time has been wasted. It's wonderful. And then if it's good, you end up going out together, and it's great. It's a very low effort way to date people and to do things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying like, I'll never be like, hey, I don't find you attractive, or hey, I think you're a bitch, or anything like that. I'll just say, I don't feel a vibe, because that's not a personal thing. Like that goes back to the chemistry thing. It's like there's no I don't want to use the word connection because that's a different thing, but there's no oomph between you. There's no magnetism, and that's okay. Not everybody fits with everybody else, and so that's fine. So you waste as little time as possible. You just spend 15 minutes walking in a circle, getting to know each other, and if it's good, it's good, and if it's not, it's not. That's fine. But yeah, like that whole like, oh yeah, we'll see each other next week, and both of you are like, I never want to speak to this person. Just be honest. Like I said, 9 times out of 10 when I do this, it's like there is the one time where they get upset, but 9 times out of 10 it's like, I appreciate that you've been so forward with me. Thank you so much. And then sometimes you end up being friends, but often not, because again, there's no vibe there.
Yeah, and it's all about being honest, like the moment you say what you think you want to, you should say, instead of like being dishonest and like turning around the bush. It gives like a great vibe in general. Like just, it feels good for yourself as well, and for the other person as well.
Yeah.
So
it's authentic. It's direct. It's honest. It's the right thing to do. Like I would want that respect. Like if you're out on a date with somebody, would you rather they like ghost you and it's disrespect. I find it way more disrespectful when someone's pretending they like me but secretly they don't, when they just tell me they're not interested. I would much rather just have them go, nah, I'm not interested. I'm like, thank you so much for being honest. You're not wasting any of my time. I don't have to think about you ever again. I'm going home. Great. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, we can go to the next question if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just gather up the ash that I just spilt on my desk.
Yeah, and just if you like ghost people, I used to do this in the past.
It's shitty behavior. It's really rude.
It even feels shitty for yourself.
It's way more rude to ghost someone than it is to go, hey, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... And like, if it happens to you, it actually feels shitty because like, I don't know, nowadays it wouldn't feel shitty to me, but because I just have like enough self-worth in me that I don't know, that I know that I'm like not a bad person, but like people with low self-esteem, like it can affect them.
Yeah. Okay, last question. And this is from one of the coaching access members who we will be having a call with in 15 minutes. If you want to join that call, discord.gg/self-improvement. You go to memberships, you click coaching access, you can join the private coaching calls. He asks, and I think I answered this last week on the coaching call, but I'm going to answer it on the stream just so it's more public. What is your opinion on bro code, he puts. And so bro code is the idea, for anybody that doesn't know, it's like the idea that you shouldn't... I'm assuming he's not talking about just like bros before hoes, and he's talking about like the idea that if someone else is interested in somebody, you shouldn't go for that person, or you shouldn't try and date people that like exes of your friends or things like that. And I think the bro code is a thing, and it is something that should be adhered to, especially if this is actually your friend. If it's some guy that you don't know, like I still would never want to like have anybody cheat with me or anything like that. I think that's like I'm all for open relationships and things like that. That's fine. But if you're gonna cheat with somebody, that's fucked up and immoral and reprehensible. And I don't want people in my life that do that, and I don't want to do that myself. Not least of which because you don't want an angry guy being after you with a fucking gun or anything like that, just because you fucked his girlfriend. I've had the opportunity to cheat a few times, like not for me to cheat on other people, but to be the guy that people cheated with, and I'm like, no. I mean, it could have happened, I suppose, but if it's ever like known, I'll be like, no, fuck that. I don't want that smoke. Anyway, bro code. So. On the coaching call, and I know that this guy would be cool with me sharing this, which is why I'm happy talking about this publicly. He's essentially saying that there's someone in his friend group that is interested in a girl, and he's never asked her out, and he's like pretending that he's not interested in her and sort of just like being around. He's too afraid to make a move, basically. And there's other people in this friend group that are interested in this girl, and he's like, is it okay if those people swoop in? And in my mind, no, it's not. And it's not just because this person is your friend and that's like an emotionally hurtful thing to do to that person. It's their responsibility whether they want to make a move or not. And if they don't, in my mind, they're a fucking pussy, right? And they should learn how to make their needs known and go for that kind of thing. And they could do that through coaching. And as their friend that's in the coaching calls, you will gain an understanding of how to do these things, and you perhaps nudge your friend a little bit and support him in that way. But the idea that you should ever go for someone that your friends are going for comes from a lack of abundance mentality. It comes from the idea that there are not that many people out there that you could fit with. And even in the, high school is a bit different. Like in my high school, there was a bunch of people that dated a bunch of different people and like cheated with each other and stuff like that. It's because it's a small group. But even in that environment, I don't think it's okay. It comes from the idea that there's a limited number of partners for you and that you need to just take what you can get. And so this person's interested in me. My friend likes them, but they're interested in me. And so I'm just going to go for it. And I think that's shitty behavior. And again, it comes from this lack mentality. If you believe that there's plenty of people out in the world there for you and that you're confident enough to go and talk to them, you should never be going for the girl, even if she's interested in you and you're interested in her. There's a million fucking people out there that you could go and date. Why do you have to date the one that's going to emotionally fuck up your friend or hurt your relationship with them? So yeah, I think if you have them in that mentality, like there are rare circumstances, like if this person truly is like the fucking one and you're just so perfect together and you don't really care about this friend and you're happy fucking up the friendship. Maybe like if your relationship with this girl is going to be more important than your relationship with a friend, then maybe there's an exception there. But 99 times out of 100, when you believe that someone is the one and they're perfect for you, they're not, because you don't know them well enough because you haven't dated them. So it's always better to just find other people to date. And there are other people. And if you believe that you can't find other people, maybe sign up for coaching and we'll fix that problem for you. I've never had anybody come to me and not get results. Even the people that are like, I'm ugly or I'm poor or I'm this, I'm a fucking incel. We had a guy back for the company that I used to work with before I started this one. We had a client come to us, and I don't advise that people say this. Like, I won't take clients anymore that say this because it's too much fucking pressure. But the guy literally said, I've tried he was like 28, a virgin. He's like, I've tried everything. If this doesn't work for me, I think I'm going to kill myself, right? And they were like, don't kill yourself, but we'll try and help you. The guy, I believe now he has like a wife and 2 kids. He's happy. He's settled down. He within like a year of going through the work, he had a wife. And so there's never been anybody that's gone through the program that's actually done the work that's not got results. So if you're the kind of person that believes that you need to go for your friend's friend or whatever, and there's not many opportunities for you, let's change that mentality. Someone says in the chat, Crimson, welcome Crimson. I don't know if you've come into the streams before, but thank you for coming along. How come some young men have to work to get things, yet other men don't need to? If you're still in the chat, can you give a little bit more context? Can you elaborate on that? Do you mean like money? Do you mean women? All of the above? Like what's the
meaning? Like the social guy in school who's like gets all the girls.
So this sort of aligns with the concept of the natural. So in and I'm going to go and assume that that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about something else, you can type it in the chat and I'll correct myself. But so in like most mainstream dating advice, and again, this is not mainstream dating advice. I don't agree with any of this shit. There is the concept of the natural, right? And it's the guy that's just naturally good with girls, and he's naturally confident in all of this stuff, and all of the above. Fair enough. So like those people do exist, and there's always going to be people that have things that you don't. Like I was taking the train I think I'm a reasonably attractive guy. I have no issues about my looks or I used to hate myself and think I was ugly, right? But now I'm like, I'm confident, I'm attractive, it's whatever. I have a good high opinion of myself. I saw a guy on the train today that was like an 11 out of 10 fucking muscular, beautiful facial hair, perfect hair, like smoking a cigarette, coolest guy I'd ever seen. And I felt jealous, right? And I had to remind myself, I'm like, what the, like, why are you feel, it's just a fucking guy, like you date anybody you, like everything's fine, don't worry about this, right? I have to remind myself that I'm doing okay in life, There's always going to be people that are richer than you, there's always going to be people that have more money than you, are taller, have a fatter cock, like all of this stuff. And when you start life, you roll the fucking dice, and you're like, you might be born in the West rather than in India, or you might be 6'4" instead of 4'3", and you might have a fucking 11-inch hog rather than a micro penis, and it's like all of the you can't control any of that stuff, right? But what you can control is how you play the cards that you're dealt. And even when you see other people that you think are doing better than you, they're not necessarily doing better than you. Everybody has their own problems. And I'll give you an example of this going back to like the social and dating thing. When I was around 17, 18, when I just like, I'd been in self-improvement for like 3 or 4 years, but I just started to like really get into the dating stuff, and I was practicing like pickup and shit. I'd started to learn some things about like how other men, because I was like going out and approaching people and talking like that, and then I'd meet like really attractive guys, and I'm like, and they're like, I like that girl, and I'm like, go talk to them, and they're like, no, I'm too afraid. It's like, you're like 6'2", you're muscular, you look fantastic. I can see all the girls here looking at you, and you're afraid to talk to them, and they're like, yeah, I'm afraid to talk to them. And so that planted the idea in my head that like, just because you think people are doing better doesn't necessarily mean that they are. And I was at this house party, and it was myself and a friend of mine that was at college there. We were in his dorm. And there was his dorm, like not his roommate, but someone who stayed in the same floor as him. It was a girl. And there was a guy at the party that was, as I'm describing, like tall, blonde, blue eyes, muscular. Like I would have fucked him, right? Like really attractive guy. And he's surrounded by a group of male friends. There's no women in his group. It's all just his male friends. And he's standing in the corner with his back to his wall, holding the beer like this, right? So he's, a little bit nervous behavior. And this girl's like, oh my God, that guy's so attractive. And I'm like, well, go talk to him. And she's like, no, I could never do that. He'd never go for a girl like me. Like, but she was an attractive girl, but she had self-worth issues. Like everybody has fucking self-worth issues. And I'm like, just go talk to him. And she's like, no, it would never work. I'm like, trust me, that guy is more nervous than you. And if you go over, like, look at him. He's standing over there. He's not talking to anybody apart from the people that he knows, right? Go and talk to him. You'll make his day. And she finally works up the courage and she goes and asks him out. Not fucking 40 seconds later, right? She's walking him to her dorm room and takes him by the hand and walks him to her dorm room. She comes back 2 minutes later going, we need to get rid of this guy. She's like, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He was like fumbling. He's too fucking nervous. He's giving me the ick. I don't like this guy. We need to get rid of him, right? And it's like this guy that everybody in the room is like, this is the most attractive guy in the room. Clearly he has everything that we want. It's bullshit. And even when you do see those people, like you'll see people that are genuinely like very confident and successful and rich and all of that stuff. You have two choices. And even I see these people and I get these feelings. I'm sure you see these people and you get these feelings. Like even people that you think, like, I don't know if you think I'm doing well. I think I'm doing well and I have these feelings about other people. You have one of two choices. You can either look at those people and go, fuck, I wish I had what they want, and lament the things that you don't have in life, right? Or you can go, this is the hand that I'm dealt, and I'm going to get the things that I want. There is not a single person that I have ever worked with, that I've ever coached, that has actually gone through the program and actually stuck with it and not got the things that they want from life. You know, I can't teach you how to make loads of money because I'm shite with money, right? But I can teach you how to get friends and get dates and all of these things. I've never had someone fail at that when they've actually done the work. So it doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you do with it. It matters where you go. It matters what your opinion is of your own situation. Like, I'll give you another example. I used to live in a town called Dundee, which is a fucking shithole town in Scotland, right? It's a coastal town in Scotland. It's full of heroin addicts and fucking guy. Hey man, you got £5 for the bus, and say, is it really for the bus? And no, it's for heroin, but I need some heroin. You know, those kinds of people. It's a really shithole place. And I lived in the smallest room in that place. I spent about $150 on it, and I had a single mattress, and I could take one step, and I had a desk that was about this wide, like just wide enough to put a laptop and a mouse on, and that was my entire room. It was like maybe 3 meters by 4 meters wide, and it was in a rough part of like really shithole place, right? And I was like, I'm not muscular now by any stretch of the imagination, but I was stick thin back then. Like you could wrap your hand around me. I had long hair. My teeth were more fucked up because I didn't have this one fixed. I had like a little bit of a broken tooth there. I was sleeping like shit. I was smoking loads of weed. I looked like shit, but I liked myself, right? I was way less attractive than I am now. I had way less in life than I did now. I was living in a shithole room. I had nothing, right? I had no fucking money. I was in debt. I was like playing guitar in the street for a living. I was a bum, right? I used to take girls back to that room after going and approaching them and talking to them and being like, hey, you want to come back to my place? And before they'd get in, I would go, right, you're about to see the smallest room in Dundee. And I'd hype them up. I'd go, I live in this, like, this room's a shithole, right? Just be ready for what you're about to experience. And I go, this room's a complete shithole, but, and I explained my philosophy. I'm like, I spend $150 a month on this room, and I spend all of the rest of my money traveling and going to different countries and experiencing life. And so that's why I live in this shithole room. And then they'd open the door and they'd go, wow, this is tiny. And then they'd sleep with me on my single bed, you know? And it was because my perspective on what I had in life with positive. If I had gone to them and been like, hey, look, you know, this room's really tiny and I don't have much, like, but you know, it's okay, we'll make do, like, blah, 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 blah. They'd have gone into the room and gone, oh, this is disgusting. You live here, and fucked off. You know, it was how I felt about my life and the things that I had that dictated how other people responded. And that's how life works. It's not about what you have, and it's not about what other people have and all these things. It's about your perspective on who you are and what you have. And if you're excited about life, and if you carry a good energy and you make other people feel excited to experience the things that you're experiencing, you have a good mental frame, other people will respond in like. But if you're the kind of person that's like, I don't have anything and I'm shit, and that is a repulsive energy to be giving out, and other people won't like you as a result. So to go back to your original question, how come some young men have to work to get things yet other men don't need to? Everybody has to work to some extent to get the things that they have in life. Even the people that are born rich are not necessarily, like, money doesn't make you happy. It's lack of money that makes you unhappy. No amount of surplus ever makes you feel better. And it takes actually like, I've had several $100,000 at some point in my life, and it didn't change the way that I felt. It changed it removed the pressure that I was under for not having money, right? But it didn't make me happier than the baseline state that you reach once you have your needs met, right? So once you meet your needs, no amount of surplus on top of that ever makes you happier. So the things that you should be focusing on, and I can explain more about this, it's called hedonic adaptation. Basically, the way that you feel now is how you're always going to feel, and things, and not, I'll put a caveat on that in a second. I'm not saying like if you're depressed, you're always going to be depressed, right? But your baseline state is always going to be your baseline state. And good things that happen to you and good things that you receive raise that state for a bit. And then it comes back down. And if it's raised enough, it actually crashes afterwards. Like if you experience something really good, you might feel like shit afterwards. And there's a thing in psychology about like habit forming and things like this, that if you celebrate your wins too much, it actually makes you less motivated. And if you tell people about the things that you're doing in life and the successes that you have, it makes you less motivated to actually fulfill them, because you experience a peak in reward that then crashes you afterward, right? So the positive things that happen in your life make you feel better, but it returns to baseline. And the negative things that happen make you feel worse, but it returns to baseline. So your focus should be meeting your needs and raising that baseline and coming to a perspective that you like who you are and you like the things that you have, and yet have goals, have things that you want. Like, I'm not saying be jealous of other people, but see other people as inspirations and go, wow, that person made this money and they did that. And focus on getting the things that you want from life rather than focusing on what other people have and what you don't have, and etc. Because that'll change your mentality and it'll change your ability to actually get those things. Does that all come together? Yeah. I hope that answers your question. If you have anything else, you can type it in the chat. Or actually, you can't. I have to go now. It's 6:01. I have the coaching access call with the people that are paying me to be there, and I'm already late. So thank you very much for tuning in. It's discord.gg/self-improvement. If you want to ask questions or call in next week, Crimson, if you're not in the server, there's a link to the server down below. We would welcome you there. There's a bunch of free stuff that you can go and read. Like, I am a paid coach, but there's a bunch of stuff there for free. Thank you all for coming. Won't be back next week, but will be back the week afterward. Yeah.